Hello everybody, this is Rosanna. I go by Bright and Dusty here on YouTube and on Instagram. I am back for my Flosstube episode number 9. Can't believe I've got up to 9 already. It's really exciting. And I'm coming to you from the Finger Lakes region of upstate New York where I live. I've decided for this video to do a mid-year WIP parade. This is actually my first official WIP parade, and I am shocked to say that I do have 20 WIPs currently ongoing that I'm going to be able to show. And just for some context, I've only been cross-stitching for a little over a year and a half at this point. My first video was at the beginning of December of 2023, and at that point I had only finished 2 full cross-stitches because that was my first year of cross-stitching. And since then, I have gotten 20 projects going. So I'm really excited to show them all today. Keep in mind, because I've only been at this for a year and a half, a lot of them do not have significant progress, but I have worked hard on them and I would just like to show them off a little bit. Yeah, so in addition to the 20 WIPs, this year in 2024, I have finished 5 projects. I'm not going to show those because I've showed them in my other videos, but I really just can't believe all the progress that I've been able to make in this short time, and it's really exciting for me. So thank you so much for stopping by, and I hope you will enjoy my WIP parade. We are in the middle of a heat wave here. You can see my fans going up there on the ceiling. Maybe I should turn that off. I don't know. Hope it's not distracting. I don't think you can hear it. It's pretty quiet. But we're in the middle of a heat wave, and I'm going to try to get this video done before the heat of the day makes it so that, like, there's sweat pouring down my face or whatever, because I feel like that would be really awkward. But I think I'm doing this early enough that it's going to be all right. But now that I'm looking at that fan, I am a little concerned that it's going to be distracting for people. So I am going to go and just shut that off. I'll be right back. All right, I'm back. To get started with the WIP parade, I have divided my WIPs into sections. I don't know, it just kind of helped me to make a little outline. The first section is going to be what I would consider to be like more like samplers type, sampler style. And second section, I'm going to divide them up kind of according to season. So I've got some spring / summer WIPs. Then I have some fall, just a couple ones. Then I think I've got Christmas WIPs. And then the last section will just be what I would call sort of like fantasy world type stitches. So that's what you're looking at for this video, and I'm gonna try not to extemporize at length on every single one because I know that would take forever. I'm gonna try to be pretty efficient. And then at the very end, I'll talk a little bit about plans and just like a tiny bit of haul. I'm just looking around to make sure I have everything. I don't have much haul, but that is the setup for this WIP parade. So let me just get right into it, starting with samplers. So the first one I'm going to show is the Summer Quaker by Lila's Studio. And this one I started on January 13th. And in Pattern Keeper, so far I've got 1,572 stitches, which is about almost 6%. So I haven't actually worked on this one in a few months, but now that I got it out, I should pull this one out and get some more progress because it is looking really pretty. This is on a 36 count platinum linen by Zweigart, and I'm just doing 2 strands over 2 threads. So here's this one. I love the colors of this one. It's such a beautiful piece for summer. Okay, so that was the Summer Quaker. And just, I have left some of them in the Q-snaps. If you can see the whole thing, I just like left it in the frame. For some of them, I took them out, but I don't think it'll be that big of a deal. Okay, second sampler WIP. This is the winter sampler, Crochetta Aogo, which I started, I think it was like December 27th or so, because I got this pattern for Christmas. And then here's what the model looks like. And here's what I've got. This is one of my favorites that I have going right now. I absolutely love it. And yeah, I will talk a little bit at the end of my video about Christmas in July plans. I might take this out a little bit for Christmas in July. I had planned to put it away, but I miss it because it's beautiful. This is 36 count vintage country mocha. I'm doing 2 strands as well on this, just using DMCs. Okay. Next sampler. This is one I haven't pulled out in a long time. It's the Moonlight Sampler by the Blue Flower, and I started this at some point in mid-December of 2023. I don't really have the exact date. And the reason I think I haven't worked on it is because the fabric is not my favorite. It's a 40 count straw by Weeks Dye Works. And I have heard that like the older Weeks linen kind of has the problem of being like really loose weave. And I think that that's maybe what's happening here, because I had just purchased this fabric like I think on Etsy or something. And it must be the older Weeks. But that being said, when I pulled it out of the project bag today, and this is the first time I had seen it in probably since like early February or something, I kind of fell in love with it all over again. So I was almost like, should I just restart it on a different fabric? But now that I'm looking at it, it does look really pretty. So I'm still deciding, but this is such a beautiful design, and I would really love to just have a design by the Blue Flower on my wall, because she has so many beautiful ones, and I've seen so many beautiful finishes all over Flosstube of the different designs, and I want one. So it might be time to pull this one out, despite the issues I'm having a little bit with the fabric. And for this one, I'm using the Call for Colors, which is a mix of like DMCs and then some overdyes. The heat is starting to get to me already. Yeah, we don't have central air conditioning. We live in upstate New York, so you usually don't really need it, but this week it has been intense. Today is not as bad as yesterday was. All right, next WIP that is a sampler style. Well, what I would call a sampler style. This is Jack's Bash by Plum Street Samplers. And this one I started February 13th. And here is where I'm at so far. I love that haunted house. It is so cute. And I started to do a little bit of the 1/1 lettering here. So I need to get back at this and finish up that bit of lettering. I know there's a lot of lettering in this pattern. So this is a big project. I love the way it's looking. This is a 32 count linen in the color Sand that I found in an old kit. It's a Zweigart because it's got that orange band on it. And I love the fabric, it's working out great. I'm doing 2/2 on 32 count, except for the 1/1 lettering. So I can't wait to get back to this one for Halloween stitching. It's gonna be really fun. And then the last WIP I have in my sampler section. This is called The Sanctuary by the Drawn Thread. Here's a picture. A little bit, I thought maybe a better picture. It's kind of a little hard to see. Well, I don't know. You can see it pretty well. And this is just a beautiful garden with all of these animals and everything. And basically, I had talked about this way back in my first video, but what happened was I found, it was a full kit that I found thrifting a while back, and it came with all of these needlepoint silks. So that was really exciting. Here's what I've got on it so far. This might look better with a little board behind it, I'm not sure. So this is the center of the garden, starting with like those flower vase things. I am really excited to be working on this one now. It took me a long time to get up kind of the courage to get it started because there are a ton of specialty stitches in this pattern that honestly I find kind of intimidating. I still do. Like for instance, I still really haven't figured out how to do these sort of fluffy stitches that surround the center and then go off to the sides. I haven't done those yet. I have done a couple of the other specialty stitches like the Smyrna crosses. And there are diagrams in here and they are really helpful actually. So I'm becoming more comfortable with the pattern. And it's been exciting to get it started. This is my first time working with silks. And of course, they're really, really lovely. This I am stitching, again, I found this entire kit, including the linen, and it's a 32 count. I mean, I don't know what color it is. It's just kind of a neutral. It's a 32 count, and the pattern calls to stitch 1/2. And at first, I wasn't sure how that was gonna look, because it seemed like it would be not enough coverage with the threads. But what's happening is it's just creating a really delicate look that I think is very, very pretty, especially with these muted pastel colors. And yeah, I've been watching a lot of Flosstube, and I think it's Jordan, the Tattooed Stitcher. She's been showing a lot of projects where she is doing the 1/2 on 32 count, and they all look incredible. So I think it's just a particular aesthetic choice, and I can't wait to see what this looks like when it's like done. Obviously it's gonna take a couple years probably for me to knock this out, but I think it's gonna look fantastic. So that was the drawn thread. I have this in my Veggie Project Bag, which I love. I love all those colors. Yes, I did not count how many project bags I have made. I kind of don't even want to know. It's a lot. All right, I'm gonna take a little sip of my soda. Okay, so that was the end of my sampler section. Now I'll move into what I would call like spring, summer themed stitching. And the first one I have here is State Fair. I've showed this in most of my other videos, and I thought I brought the magazine out here, but maybe I forgot. It's from the World of Cross Stitching magazine, and I believe it is the August 2023 edition. And I'll try to put a picture in since I forgot to bring the magazine out, but here's what I've got. This one I started on my birthday, which was January 21st. And this is kind of a sentimental stitch for me because it's kind of reminiscent of all the time that my mom and I have spent at fairs. And specifically the Bloomsburg Fair in Pennsylvania. So I think when this one is done, it's gonna be just a really nice commemorative piece to have on the wall. And excuse me, the colors are just gorgeous. This is a 32 count Blue Whisper Belfast linen, stitching 2/2. And this pattern has a lot of fractional stitches. Other than that, it's pretty straightforward. And I'm just using call for colors with a few substitutions. But yeah, I think that magazine is from the UK, so it charts it. You can either do the DMC or the Anchor. They have them both in there, which is probably really nice for people who have more access to Anchor threads. But yeah, I just used colors from Stash. And okay, my next one, this is And Stripes from the collaboration Stars and Stripes. The 2 barns. I'm doing the second barn only. And this is by Shakespeare's Peddler. And I'm really happy with this one. I think I made a fair amount of progress since the last time you saw this. This is the one I'm working on a lot in the evenings when Andrew and I are watching TV. So that's why this one is coming along. This is also, I think, my only sort of like patriotic stitch I have happening right now. This barn reminds me a lot of where I grew up, and I think it is beautiful. I still have to fill in all of these flower things here. Last night, I had to spend like 20 minutes frogging out a bunch of the beige down here because I got off, but I just, you know, I did it immediately because I found that if I don't frog it immediately, I'll just put it away and avoid it. But I don't want to do that with this one because I would like to see it done. This is a vintage linen napkin that I dyed myself. The count is pretty small. I think it's probably around a 38 or 36, 38, something like that. But it's looking great. I'm using 2 strands. And the red is the overdye, the called for overdye. The rest of it is DMC. I just thought the red needed the overdye, but that's about it. Summer in the Village by Owl Forest Embroidery. I started this one really recently. You're gonna notice with some of these, I started them within the last month. I think because summer stitching, I felt really inspired to do more summer stitching right now. And so I don't have like a whole lot done on this. But that is one of the trees and a tiny butterfly. This is 46 count, raw natural linen that I dye myself. First time using 46, which is exciting. And it doesn't look like much right now, but I think this is going to end up being really lovely. And so far, it's been going great. I love Owl Forest. They have obviously amazing stuff. And yeah, I'm just using DMCs on that. 1/2 on 46 count. My next WIP. This is one I am really enjoying. It is called Spring House by Maria Brovko. Her store on Etsy is called Cute Patterns by Maria. And she has a whole series of houses for the 4 seasons. I picked the spring one. And this one I started on June 4th. So not very long ago. And in Pattern Keeper, I have 1,413 stitches, which is actually 12% complete. So that's not bad. For starting at June 4th, that's really not too bad. Okay, so here I will actually show it to you. This is a big cut of fabric, so I'm trying not to... Here, I'll put a board behind it. Yeah, it's interesting. This is all DMCs, but the way it's charted, you do get just like this incredible shading effect with these greens. I mean, it almost looks overdyed, but it's not. And yeah, for some reason, I am really responding to this design and this pattern. It's turning into one of my favorites, which I wasn't really expecting. And this fabric is a 36 count called Lagoon by Fiber on a Whim. And I'm doing 2/2 specifically because there's a lot of blended threads in here where you use 2 at a time. So I couldn't do 1 strand. But it's looking really nice. I'm using the 2-handed stitching with the twin pointed needles on this one as well, which might be helping make it go a little faster. Yeah, wow, from back here it looks really nice too. Like, the colors are really popping. My next summer themed WIP is, this is one I just started like yesterday. Because I had purchased this pattern months ago. It's called Spring Chickens Pinkeep by Stacy Nash. So I had the PDF and I decided that is charted all in overdyes. There's not a ton of colors, but it's all overdyed and there isn't like a DMC conversion on the pattern, I don't think. But I didn't want to get the overdyes, so I looked up various lists that people have made of how to convert Weeks Dye Works to DMC, and I just kind of picked based on that. So I'm using DMCs on this. And I'll show you what I have, which is not much. Started this one yesterday. I just got started on the border. But I had this fabric. This is a 40 count Ancient by Picture This Plus. I had the fabric and I was just like, I may as well just use it. And these chickens are so cute. I know everyone loves Stacy Nash. She's got all these amazing little animals and stuff. She has this series called Animal Crackers that everyone just like loses their mind over. I would love to do one of those. The little mouse is like so cute. But yeah, so I did get this one started. I'm doing 1/2 on 40 count DMCs. This is just like a cheap little hoop I found thrifting. I was like, well, I guess I'll just use it. I might transfer this to a Q-snap at some point, but and that is the conclusion of my summer and spring themed stitching. So next I do have a couple of fall. Well, I know I already showed Jack's Bash. That one is also fall. But I have a couple more. So Halloween at Hawk Run Hollow. I know everyone knows what this looks like, but here it is. Carriage House samplings. Gigantic pattern. I don't know what I was thinking. But I started this as like my leap day start. And I'm not very far, but I'll show you what I've got. So I got a ghost, I got the top of the little house, and I've got the bat. This is a 40 count Affogato by Fiber on a Whim. And I'm doing 1/2. So just to give you like a little more context for, I am like up here. There's that ghost and that bat. So I really do need to put some more dedicated time into this. And it's not like I don't like it. I do. I think I'm a little bit overwhelmed by just how big it is. But it's never gonna get done if you don't put any stitches in it, so I do need to pull this one out. This one and the Blue Flower Moonlight Sampler. I really need to just like get those out again. And then my other fall themed. This is Prairie Schooler Harvest Time, and I'm doing the turkey. The turkey one with the leaves. I love this turkey, it's so cute. But this is really dense stitching. Yeah, deceptively huge. And I don't have much on this. Yeah, it was weird. Like back in February, I just had this like little spurt of starting a bunch of fall stuff for some reason. And then I lost interest. But, you know, I still got them. They're ready for when fall comes around. So as you can see, this is pretty tiny stitches because I decided to do this on 1/1 on a 28 count Monaco even weave. And I like the way it's looking. I think the kind of the texture of it or something it's challenging. It's just like a lot of stitches packed into a really tight area. So I don't know. I'm not very far. I could always just start it again and do 2/2 on something else. And I don't know. I haven't decided because I might want this to just be a little bigger. I might want the turkey to just be more impressive when it comes time to hang it up. And if I continue with the tiny stitches, it's not going to be that impressive. I mean, it's impressive in a certain sense because it takes a lot of concentration to do those tiny stitches, but just from a visual impact standpoint, I don't know, I might want this one to be a little bit more, have like some more oomph. So I'm not sure. I'm just using DMCs on this. And that's that one. So that concludes fall stitching. This next section is Christmas stitching. Okay, so this one, this pattern, it is my Everest. You haven't seen this one. Maybe you've never seen it unless you did watch my very first video in December, because that's the only time I showed it. It is called Noel en Or by Madame Lefay. Yeah. It's gorgeous to look at this mock-up here. The colors are just so beautiful. But I did speak in my very first video a long time ago about like some challenges I was having with this, specifically the fabric. But let me show you what's happening with this one. And I did work on it. Not much, but in June, I think I worked on it like 3 days. Like 3 stitchy sessions, and maybe once back in like March or something, because it was sitting there and I felt bad that I hadn't touched it, and I was like, I'm gonna see if anything has changed. Well, the other thing I did was I soaked it. I soaked it in water to try and just loosen up the Aida. So anyway, I'll stop talking about it and actually show you what it's looking like right now. So I have made some progress. I finished this staff area here, and then his vest is almost complete. Honestly, like the nutcracker part is almost done. And I'm thinking for Christmas in July, maybe my goal should be to finish the nutcracker portion. I would have to do his head up here, and then he's on a pedestal. Now, right now, he's looking a little like, it's a little creepy. Although there is that part in the Nutcracker Ballet where the little kid, like, doesn't he pull the head off of the Nutcracker doll? I seem to remember that. I could just leave it like this and it'd be like, oh, yeah, it's like the Nutcracker without his head. I'm not gonna do that. Oh, God, I just lost my train of thought. Anyway, this fabric is an 18 count opalescent Aida. And it says Zweigart. It has that orange band. And I have just struggled with this fabric so much. Like, for me, I think it's too stiff for me. And even after I soaked it, I thought that was maybe going to resolve the problem. But not really. It's still a struggle to get my stitches through it. I am using like a 28 needle, and it's not impossible, but it's a little bit more of a chore than I like. So I'm on the fence right now. My goal is to finish the Nutcracker part and then decide. decide if I want to try to continue with this and finish the whole thing, which is big, or if maybe I just want to turn this nutcracker into its own separate piece, because it's gorgeous. It will look great. It would be really cool to just have it like in a long, narrow frame. Just the nutcracker, and just have it on the wall. I think that would look awesome. So I am considering doing that. This is my oldest WIP, which isn't saying much. I know that a lot of people, you know, they have WIPs from 1987 that they still never finished. I know that. But this is actually my oldest WIP, and I started it, I think, in September of 2023. And I'm just so torn about it. I love the design and the colors. It is a lot of confetti stitching, which I'm getting more used to. So that part isn't bothering me quite as much, but it's just the fabric is really holding me back. I will just also say that this tree is going to be a nightmare. Like, if you look at the pattern, the confetti is kind of like out of control. So I don't know. I don't know if I just have the endurance to stick with this fabric, do that tree. I mean, by the end of that, I just think I would be driven out of my mind. So that's another reason I'm like, maybe it's just destiny that I started this pattern like in the nutcracker. So why don't I just, you know, take that as a sign that maybe this nutcracker is meant to stand alone. And I think it would be pretty, I mean, it wouldn't be easy, but I could unpick this little part here and then just have the nutcracker standing on his own. But anyway, that is my adventure with Opalescent Aida. Suffice it to say, I do not think I will be using Opalescent Aida again. I mean, maybe if it was a 16 count, but I don't know. I'm a little disillusioned just because I have had some struggles with this one. Okay, next Christmas one. So this is the Little Penguin by Crochetta Aogo. I did not get very far with this one. I started it on February 26th. And the problem is that I do have to frog a little. I have to take out this ear warmer and then a little bit up here because I'm off. And once I realized that, I just got really annoyed with myself and I put it away. And I haven't touched it since then. But now that Christmas in July is coming up, I think one of my other goals, in addition to possibly finishing that nutcracker, is to actually frog this. Just so I don't have it so that, oh, I don't want to touch it because I have to frog it. But other than that, I'm enjoying this. This is an 18 count Aida that I dyed myself. And I'm not having any issues with this Aida. It's soft. It's easy to get the needle through. My next Christmas WIP. And this is one you haven't seen before because I just started it. I started it on June 19th. And sorry, I just had to grab it. It is Satsuma Street Christmas Cat. I had purchased, this was maybe like last summer or something. I had purchased several Satsuma Street patterns when she was having a sale. But I didn't start any of them. and I've just had them in the back of my mind. So I was like, what the heck? I'm just gonna start Christmas Cat. And here's where I am. He's so cute. Oh my gosh. This is a piece of 28 count even weave that I found in an old kit, and it was white. And I just decided I was gonna dye it red because I wanted it to look like the cover photo with the red background. And I was very skeptical of messing around with red dye. I didn't think it was gonna turn out very well because I was just afraid it was gonna, you know, not be sufficiently saturated. But I was pleasantly surprised the way this came out. I used the Scarlet Rit dye, and on the kit it did say that this even weave is 100% cotton. So I'm not sure if maybe that has something to do with why it accepted the dye so well, but I think this red turned out really nice. So because, oh, I will say the other reason I decided to start this, I wanted to try, let me see if I can say this right, 2/1 tent stitch on 28 count even weave, because I have been seeing a lot of people in the full coverage groups, a lot of them do that, and their finished products look really beautiful. Like the coverage of the threads is very nice. So I was just curious to try it out, but I didn't want to start another full coverage. And the nice thing about the Christmas Cat pattern is that it's like mostly all fill-in. So it's sort of like a mini full coverage type thing in my mind. So I just was like, I'm just give it a try. I'm doing it with tent stitch. So tent stitch is, I believe, like, I'm using the right term, I think, but it's just like one leg of the cross, which means that you're cutting your stitching time in half, which is why I started this on June 19th, and that was only like 2 or 3 days ago, and it's like already at 10% complete. Because I can use this in Pattern Keeper and it says I'm at 10%, which is awesome. All right, I guess that's what I wanted to say about Christmas Cat. I think it's gonna look great when it's done. And the coverage of the threads is really nice. You can't really see like fabric showing through. This is going to turn out, the finished product is gonna be tiny. It's gonna be like, I don't know, 4x5 or something like that, because I think the original is 8x10. But by doing tent stitch like this over one, it's gonna cut the design size in half. So maybe I'll make some progress on that in Christmas in July. I'm not sure. I think my priority will be getting that nutcracker done, I hope. Okay, the last of my Christmas WIPs. I have hardly anything done on this, but I was on the Twinpeaks Primitives website like a week ago. I was not familiar with them before. Once I was on their website, I was hooked. They have just like amazing designs. And they have some big samplers I would like to do, but I told myself, is like, put on the brakes. Don't start one of these giant samplers. Like for real. Just don't do it. So I bought a small pattern. And this is called Stitching Christmas. And I don't have much done, but I'll show you what I have. It's just like a little part of one of the trees. Yeah, it doesn't look like much right now, but this design is so cute and it's not huge. So it's gonna be fun to work on. This fabric is just, once again, I found a linen tablecloth that I cut up and dyed. This one has extremely tiny grids. I mean, this is probably a 40 count or higher. I'm using 1/2. And yeah, I wouldn't want to use, I'm not going to use this fabric for anything big because the grids are really tiny, and also I don't think the fabric quality is all that great, but I think for a small pattern it's going to be okay. And I just dyed it a gray neutral, and I think it's looking okay. So yeah, you can still see like the edging. The tablecloth had like a lacy border that I cut off. I don't know. I don't feel bad about it. I got that tablecloth for $1 and whatever. One less piece of fabric I have to buy from the internet. Okay, finally we're at the end of my Christmas stitching. Now my last WIP section is what I would call like fantasy world type stuff. First one is Unicorn's Garden by Sprouting Lupine. This one I started April 25th, and so far I have 2,000 stitches, which is 18% complete. And this is using 2 threads over 2 strands over 2 threads on a mystery linen. I think it's a 32 count. But this is another one I dyed myself. Yeah, I showed this one last time and I haven't made more progress, but it is one of my WIPs and it's looking great. Just lovely. And then my other unicorn WIP is called Holiday Magic. This is a full coverage charted by Heaven and Earth Designs, and the artist is Lori Prindle. So I am at 1,900 stitches, which is 2.5%. And I'm using 25 count easy grid Lugana, and I am using tent stitch on this as well. So 2/1 tent stitch on 25 count. Whereas Christmas Cat is 2/1 tent stitch on 28. So I specifically wanted to kind of see the difference between the coverage on like a 28 versus a 25. And there is a difference. So that's kind of interesting. But anyway, that's what I got. And then this one you haven't seen before because I think in my last video I just showed it as my haul. But sorry, I'm just digging out my project bag and everything. Bella Filipina, the glass slipper. Yes, last time I hadn't started it yet. So I started this one on June 6th. And I'm really happy with the progress I was able to make. So let me show you where I'm at with it. Okay, so I know it's like kind of hard to tell what's happening here. Basically, I've got her arm. This is like her shoulder, and then her arm coming down here, and this is the start of her dress. And the reason I did it that way, I did a center start which was up here. But I wanted to make sure the dress was gonna look okay on this fabric. So I just kind of like traveled my way down here and got that dress started. And I'm happy with the colors. Yeah, her dress threads ended up being a little bit more teal than blue. So they're actually showing up pretty well on this fabric. This is a vintage linen tablecloth that I cut into pieces and dyed myself. It's a different one. It's a different one from the one I was doing stitching Christmas. And this one is a lot nicer. I am not having any issues with the fabric. I am stitching 2/2. I think this is probably around a 32 count. And I'm thrilled with the fabric, actually. I think it looks great. So that was Bella Filipina. And I've got that in my Dragons project bag. And then my last WIP, number 20, is of course the Deadly Aquarium by Lola Cross Stitch. And I don't have to show you the like picture of it because I'm pretty much caught up. Yeah, there's like a couple of fish I haven't gotten around to yet. I still have another week to do them because she gave us a week off. So I still have a week to do those other fish, but that won't take me long. They're not huge. Yeah, this is looking spectacular. I love how colorful this is. Just incredible. And I'm super excited to just see it when it's done at the end of the summer. It's gonna be so awesome. And I really enjoyed seeing everyone else's on Flosstube and Instagram. Just all the fabric choices. My fabric is a 32 count linen that I'm stitching 2/2. And I actually dyed this one myself as well. All right, that was the end of my WIPs and the conclusion of my first real WIP parade. So thank you if you stay with me and saw all of my WIPs. Obviously, I've put a ton of time into my hobby this year, and I think that's kind of common. I've seen other people talking about how like once they get started with Flosstube, they just kind of go wild and they get a lot of things started. So I think that's what's happening to me. Like this is gonna be my year of starts and we'll see what happens. But I love all these projects. Well, maybe not that nutcracker, but I love the way it looks. All right, so getting into plans and just like a tiny bit of haul. My plans, I have mentioned Christmas in July a couple times, and I would like to just have fun with that coming up. And that's kind of like I started Christmas Cat and I started stitching Christmas, and I think like I'm just gearing up a little bit for Christmas in July. So yeah, my next video, I think I will probably talk about my progress for Christmas in July, and maybe I'll do that like more towards the end of July. But yeah, one thing I was thinking of kitting for Christmas in July, and I've showed this once before in another video, but this is called Noble Companions by Susan Brack. B-R-A-C-K is the name of the designer. This is a Leisure Arts leaflet from It's number 2045. I have spoken about this once before and how I just love the drama of this design. And I'm thinking maybe I will kit this one up for Christmas in July and maybe get it started. I have another piece of linen from the same tablecloth that I dyed for this one, Bella Filipina. I have another piece. As you can see, like, this is a darker purple, gray modeling. And I think it might work for this. I don't know. I'm still thinking about it. But yeah, maybe the last thing I need right now is another project. But at the same time, it's fun. It's fun to just like get things started, so why not? And I'm pretty sure I would have all the DMCs already in my stash. So there's that, just like potential plans. And then my other piece of haul. This was like a couple months ago. I ordered some fabric on Etsy. And this showed up. Like, it's opalescent purple. And I don't know, the picture on Etsy must have just looked a little bit different, because like when I opened this, and I had ordered with like several other pieces of fabric, I opened this and I was like, whoa, like, holy cow. I've never seen an opalescent like this intense. So I don't know. I'm just like trying to figure out like what would I put on this? Like, I don't know. I think it's a 32 count even weave. And I'm sure it would look great with something. I'm just having a hard time deciding what, and I'm just curious, has anyone else stitched on an opalescent that is like this? I don't know. So that's just something I've had in my stash, and I'm not sure what to do with it. But and then other piece of haul, Sally Spencer sampler by Birds of a Feather. This is an out of print chart. I found it on one of my antiquing trips in Pennsylvania. And I did watch Sarah's Stitchy Spot. I think it was her last video. And she has this started. And it looks really good. And I'm thinking, it's so zany. Like, it's really cool. And I love all this red in here. So this is one I'm considering maybe starting. But I don't have it kitted yet. It doesn't have a lot of colors. So that's just one I'm thinking about. And then for my, I found all these heirloom Santas, ornaments. Some of them still have the floss and the perforated paper. A couple of them don't. But all the patterns are here. And I don't know. For Christmas in July, maybe I should start an ornament. Because I actually have never made a Christmas ornament yet. And I want to. And I want to try out perforated paper. Because I haven't done that yet. And the finished pieces always look really cool on perforated paper. One of these came with like a silver perforated paper, which I was like, that's cool. So I don't know, maybe one of those heirloom Santas, or maybe just a different ornament. Satsuma Street has like so many great ornaments. Maybe I could just buy one of those. I don't know. But I think that is the conclusion of my haul. The last thing I will show, in my last two videos I've showed a finished cross stitch that I've thrifted, and I'm going to continue that tradition in this video. And surprisingly, this is one that I actually found last weekend because I went down to visit my family in Pennsylvania. It was my brother's birthday, so I was just down for like a day, one night. And I went to a couple of thrift shops and I found a finished cross stitch. And let me see. I wanted to show. Okay, I'm gonna have to pause it for a sec because I know this video is already long, but I'm gonna pause it for a sec because I need the magazine to show you too, but hold on. Okay, I'm back. And before I get into that finished cross stitch, I did remember I did have one more piece of haul. It's called Sampler of Olga by Reflet de Soie. Here's a photo of it. And I just bought this one as a PDF directly from the Reflet de Soie website because they have PDFs there. And I was delighted that it actually loaded into Pattern Keeper without incident. And the reason I got this one is because I have been sort of wanting to do like a monochromatic stitch, and this technically isn't monochromatic because it has 3 colors, but you know, it's like a red work type sampler. And I was thinking of doing this with sulky threads because I believe it was the 911 Stitcher, she showed like a black sampler she had been working on, and she used black sulky threads, and I think she used 1 strand of sulky on a 40 count, and it looked amazing. The coverage of those threads was really good, and the color of the black was super saturated because the sulky threads are like slightly thicker than regular DMCs. So what I was thinking is maybe buying 3 like red and pink colors from sulky and doing it 1 strand on a 40 count, because I think that would look amazing. I was a little unnerved to discover how gigantic this pattern is in Pattern Keeper. I don't know, for some reason I think like when I just looked at the photo of it, I was a little deceived, just like my own. Like, oh, I didn't think it was that big, but it's actually really big. But anyway, that's just something I've been thinking about, doing like a monochromatic red sampler, because I think it will look beautiful. Anyway, that was my last piece of haul, and I will stop talking about haul. Getting back to this finished cross stitch that I found. And what I'm gonna do is just, here's like a little 25-second video compilation. I just took some like pictures of this cross stitch outside so the lighting would be really nice. I did that yesterday. So here is just a clip of what this piece looks like in beautiful lighting, where you can actually see some of the sparkly threads, because there's a lot of sparkly Kreinik in this. So here it is. All right, if I did that right, I think you saw it as like a separate thing. And now I can show you the actual piece. It is beautiful. And I have spoken about hummingbirds in at least one of my other videos. I love hummingbirds. I was able to figure out that this pattern is from Cross Stitch and Country Crafts magazine, and I have an extensive collection of that magazine. If you've watched any of my past videos, you know that I stitched the Santas of Fable and Fantasy from Cross Stitch and Country Crafts. So I was able to discover that this hummingbird pattern is from this magazine, and this is the March-April 1990 Cross Stitch and Country Crafts. Yep, you can see it in here. Like I said, this piece has a lot of sparkly Krynic, but it's just so artistically done in the design, because it's just sort of like spread out in like little portions of the hummingbirds, just like you would see in nature, really. Like some of their feathers, the light glints off of them, and it's like you're seeing almost like little jewel tones on the hummingbird. And that's kind of what this pattern accomplishes. And I just think it's so special. The other amazing thing about this is that the stitcher did put their initials and also the year, which was 1990. So I just think that that is really incredible to think about. You know, somebody, they got their magazine in the mail in 1990 and they just went to town. How amazing is that? So yeah, I don't know if this has like an actual name. I don't think the pattern has a name. I think it's just you gotta get the magazine if you want to stitch it, but I was so thrilled to come across that and be able to bring it home and just hang it up in my bedroom. It is astonishing. All right, so that brings me to the conclusion of this WIP parade. I'm not going to talk about books today, but thank you so much for tuning in. After I close out here, there's just going to be like a small clip of me from like a couple of weeks ago showing a needlepoint that I found, just because I think it's really cute. So stick around for that. It's only like a minute long. But other than that, I will catch you next time. And until then, happy stitching. Bye. Hello, greetings from past Rosanna. I'm filming this little segment to add on to my next Flosstube video. So that's why I'm wearing different clothes and everything. But basically, I just wanted to show this cruel needlepoint that I found out thrifting. I'm giving it away, so I won't have it to show when I actually film my Flosstube video. So without further ado, here it is. So I just thought this was too cute not to share. I know everyone loves Kermit the Frog, and the back of this has a little inscription by the person who made it, and it's from 1981. And the colors are really beautiful. So, not a cross stitch, but super cute. All right, thanks.